What's up YouTube, I'm back with another great tutorial, and today I have a slightly different tutorial for you guys because we talked a lot about Ableton stock plugins, so it's now time to cover a few third-party plugins like the Fabfilter Q4, and this is the topic for this video. I want to show you my favorite EQ tricks with the Fabfilter Q4 and the most important EQ trick I learned in the last few months, which really changed the way I'm producing, and it really brought my tracks to the next level, so stay tuned for that. And as always, if you like this kind of content, make sure you follow me on my socials, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, that would help me a lot. And if you want to buy a Fabfilter product like the Q4, you can do that with the link in the description to support me and my work. Thanks a lot, and now let's jump into the project. So I start cooking up a quick 8-bar loop here from scratch, and then we talk about the Q4 when it comes to EQing. So let's start with the punchy kick. And for that we go through my very first sample pack. It's just out now because some of you guys asked me to do a sample pack. I put a lot of effort into this one, and it comes with 30 punchy trance kicks. All of them are very clean and punchy, perfect for modern trance productions. So make sure you grab it with the link in the description. So let me give you a quick insight how the kick sounds. So as you can hear, really nice kicks. I use them for my own productions. And yeah, it's just a banger pack. I hope you like it. So let's take this one. I like the deep sound of this one. So load it in. Let me drag in a quick offbeat bass line. Okay, I load in open head and a clap. Okay, I like the foundation. Now we need a nice synth, so I play around with Z-Room for that. It sounds the best in A here. And let's add another Z-Room. Let's play a quick top melody. Okay, let's change the melody of the bass pattern here. Yeah, it's more groovy. And for the arpeggiator, we do the same melody. Okay, nice. Okay, now I try to play a new top melody that fits the bass line. Okay, nice. Let's record this. Okay, that's what we have so far. Let's add a pad sound to this layer, maybe with a trance gate. Yes, something like this should work. Use the LFO tool here with the trance gate. Reduce the volume a little bit. Okay, let's record the notes. That should work. Okay, this is the base of our 8-bar loop. I do a quick fine-tuning here. Let's automate the cutoff here a little bit. Then changing the rhythm of the clap a little bit. And maybe adding a few effects. And that's it for the 8-bar loop. So let's organize the project a little bit. So that is our 8-bar loop, and nothing is EQ'd at the moment. And this is how it sounds at the moment, without any EQ, without any processing. So the first thing I would do now is to listen to each group and then decide which frequencies are unnecessary and which frequency we can get rid of. So for this video, we only work with the Fabfilter Q4. So I drag a Q4 on each group, and then we listen to every group and decide if it's necessary to EQ them or not. So the first is the kick and bass group. And normally you should not tweak that much in your low end because it's the foundation of your track, but sometimes you have some muddy frequencies around here, then you can do a little bell EQ here, or sometimes when you have too much bass, you can cut out the sub frequencies around 20 to 30 Hertz. So I leave the low end without EQing anything at the moment. Let's move on to the drums. Normally you can take out the low frequencies. Because most of the time the drum's sitting around 500 to 18,000 Hertz. So we need that place for our bass and our synths. Okay, let's move to the main synths and we start to EQing the arpeggiator. So as you can see, we have a lot low frequencies here, and that's why the offbeat bassline is almost not hearable anymore. So we definitely need to cut out some of the low frequencies here. But be careful, don't do too much. You don't want to lose the main character of the sound. When I do a low cut like this, we completely lost the warmth of the sound. So and then the core melody. And you can see almost in every sound we have that low frequencies, which are really unnecessary and just causes a very busy mix. I do a very steep low cut here because this sound really lives in the high frequencies. So they're really sitting around 440 Hertz here. The atmosphere sound, same thing with the low frequencies here. I took out some of the mid frequencies here because I know that the main core melody is playing in the same frequency area, just to make space for it, because the main core melody is the main element and the pad is underneath it. So I leave some place for the main core melody. And for the FX sounds, I do another low cut. Okay, that was the first step. Let's listen to our mix now. But we have still certain sounds that playing in the same frequency area and cancelling each other out. So the most important EQ trick I learned in the last couple of months is sidechain EQing. And this is why I want to show you the Fabfilter Q4, because with the Q4, sidechain EQ is so simple, and it's not only easy to build the sidechain EQ, Q4 also shows you which frequencies are the problem in your sounds. So the Q4 tell you which frequencies are clashing with your sounds and where you need to do the sidechain EQ. So what is a sidechain EQ? For example, we have that arpeggiator and the offbeat bassline. So you can really hear that the offbeat bassline is fighting to cut through the arpeggiator. And that's a good example how to use sidechain EQ and what a sidechain EQ is. So I use a new Q4 for that. on my arpeggiator. And what we want to achieve now is that the problem frequencies of the arpeggiator goes down every time the offbeat bass line is playing. So for that, we need to know in which frequency area the bass and the arpeggiator is clashing. And this is where the power of the Q4 is coming in. So for the sidechain right here, we choose the offbeat bass line. And then we set the analyzer to sidechain. And now we should see the waveform of the arpeggiator and the waveform of the offbeat bass line. So as you can see, the Q4 detects some areas around here where the bass is fighting against our arpeggiator. One here and one big here. So just double click the points, and now we want to tell the Q4 every time the offbeat bass line is hitting, please reduce this area and this area to make space for the bass line. So let's drag the band 2 here of the dynamic range, maybe 4 dB for the start. Then we need to set the sidechain trigger. You can do this here on the right arrows here. This little button here tells the EQ that our trigger is the sidechain now. And as you can see, the EQ is now moving to the bass line. Let's do the same thing over here. And the bass line is already much more present in the mix. Another cool feature is the spectral button right here. And in the spectral mode, only the frequencies which are really clashing are reduced. So it's even more dynamic. But in this case, I would leave the normal bell EQ here because the arpeggiator can live without these frequencies. So to help the bass line cutting through the mix, I would prefer a very hard EQing like this. Then I would listen to the other sounds compared to the bass line to see if any other sound is also clashing with the bass line. Not necessary for the main core melody. Here we can take a quick look. So we set the sidechain to the offbeat bass line again and the analyzer to sidechain. So the frequencies are clashing a little bit around this area. So let's take them out again, activate the trigger. And make sure you cover all the problem frequencies. So we compared every sound to the bass line, and now we should hear the bass line much more better in the mix. So let's compare the other sounds. At first we listen to the arpeggiator and the main core melody. So I'm not sure if here is any frequency clashing. So what I would do now is to decide which is the main element of these sounds. Here it's definitely the core melody. So I would try to sidechain the core melody to the arpeggiator. So let's load in a third Q4 to the arpeggiator. And this time we set the sidechain to the main core melody and the analyzer to sidechain mode. So we have an area where the frequencies are clashing. Let's do another little sidechain EQ here. Okay, sounds nice to me. Then let's compare the arpeggiator to the pad. Sounds good to me. And the last thing I would compare here is the pad sound with the main core. Because they are playing almost the same frequencies. So let's add another Q4 to the pad sound. And this time the main core mellow is our sidechain trigger. Set the analyzer to sidechain and let's hear these sounds together. So we have two frequencies which are clashing. Let's take them out a little bit. So you can really hear the sounds playing better together with the Sidechain EQ. And this is our EQ'd mix with the Sidechain EQ. And that's it for this project. So we helped every sound to sit well in the mix and work well together with all the different sounds in your arrangement. And we helped the bassline to cut through the mix with that Sidechain EQ trick. So I hope it was helpful for you. And this was just the tip of the mountain, what the Q4 can do. So let me know if you want to see more of the Q4 or other plugins. And check out my link if you want to buy any plugins like the Q4 or something else. That would help me a lot. And don't forget to check out my new sample pack in the YPP store. And if you like this video, follow me on my socials, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. So have fun while playing around with this EQ trick and see you in the next one.